TA intersect, I got stack them bags high, don't get wrecked, nickel-y, it's time to connect.
The Moonshot Dispatch.
Nick and Lee, tune in. Screens lit up at dawn, order book alive. Candles flicker green and red in the fight. Nick calls the numbers, Lee reads the pace. Every tick a clue, every move a chase. Hold that breath, watch it swing. One more push, one more ring. The room goes wide, the chat blows up. Nick and Lee, don't let up.
The Moonshot Dispatch. The Moonshot Dispatch.
Nick and Lee on blast. Nick and Lee on blast. We ride the spikes, we chase the spark. The Moonshot Dispatch.
Right from the start.
Whales make waves again, big stack then fade. Sharp little fake outs cut through the trade. Lee says, look there, Nick says, now here. Fresh on the tape and the signal's clear. Hold that breath, watch it swing. One more push, one more ring. The room goes wide, the chat blows up. Nick and Lee, don't let up.
The Moonshot Dispatch. The Moonshot Dispatch.
Nick and Lee on blast. Nick and Lee on blast. We ride the spikes, we chase the spark. The Moonshot Dispatch.
Right from the start.
Wait for the turn, there it goes. Pulse in the chat, head to toes. Higher, higher, lock that view. Nick and Lee, pull us through.
The Moonshot Dispatch. The Moonshot Dispatch.
Nick and Lee on blast. Nick and Lee on blast. We ride the spikes, we chase the spark. The Moonshot Dispatch.
Right from the start.
Yeah. Na 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 na. Login camera hot, chat scroll, screens light up. Nick on the mic like watch this. Lead with the chart, not luck. Candles move like wild tides. Green prints, then they snap red. We read the room in real time. Every tick got a new thread. Hold up, hear that room go loud. One more swing up. We can taste that cloud. Hands on the wheel now. Eyes on the feed. If the line keeps climbing, that's the news we need. The Moonshot Dispatch. Run it live, run it back. The Moonshot Dispatch. Nick and Lee on the track. The Moonshot Dispatch. See it rise, see it snap. The Moonshot Dispatch. Chat goes wild like that. Fresh alert, new candle volume, hit whole screen shakes. One more push through the room or one more move for the brave. Nick says, don't blink now. Lee says, check that wall. We got the crowd on standby, waiting on the next call. Every game got a heartbeat, every dip got the grin. If the market wants fireworks, we'll be first ones in. Hold up, hear that room go loud. One more swing up. We sharp. When the crowd gets hungry, we like that spark. Nick says stay locked in, Lee says stay away. If the moon comes calling, we don't hesitate.
The Moonshot Dispatch.
Run it live, run it back.
The Moonshot Dispatch.
Nick and Lee on the track.
The Moonshot Dispatch.
See it rise, see it snap.
The Moonshot Dispatch.
Shot goes wild like that.
The Moonshot Dispatch.
We don't miss, we don't crash.
The Moonshot Dispatch.
Catch the wave, then dash. The Moonshot Dispatch.
Nick and Lee.
Tune in. Screens lit up at dawn, or the book alive. Candles flicker green, red in a fight. Nick calls the numbers, Lee reads the pace. Every tick a clue, every move a chase. Hold that breath, watch it swing. One more push, one more ring. The room goes wide, the chat blows up. Nick and Lee, don't let up. The Moonshot Dispatch. The Moonshot Dispatch. Nick and Lee on blast. Nick and Lee on blast. We ride the spikes. We chase the spark. The Moonshot Dispatch. That's right from the start. Whales make waves again, bid stack, then fade. Sharp little fake outs cut through the trade. Lee says, look there. Nick says, now here. Fresh on the tape and the signal's clear. Hold that breath, watch it swing. One more push, one more ring. The room goes wide, the chat blows up. Nick and Lee, don't let up. The Moonshot Dispatch. The Moonshot Dispatch. Nick and Lee on blast. Nick and Lee on blast. We ride the spikes. We chase the spark. The Moonshot Dispatch. Right from the start. Wait for the turn. There it goes. Pulse in the chat. Head to toes. Higher. Lock that view. Nick and Lee.
Pull us through.
The Moonshot Dispatch. The Moonshot Dispatch. Nick and Lee on blast. Nick and Lee on blast. We ride the spikes. We chase the spark. The Moonshot Dispatch. Right from the start. Logging camera high, chat scroll, screens light up. Nick on the mic like watch this. Lead with the chart, not look. Candles move like wild tides. Green prints, then they snap red. We read the room in real time. Every tick got a new thread. Hold up. Hear that room go loud. One more swing up, we can taste that cloud. Hands on the wheel now, eyes on the feed. If the line keeps climbing, that's the news we need.
The Moonshot Dispatch.
Run it live, run it back.
The Moonshot Dispatch.
Nick and Lee on the track.
The Moonshot Dispatch.
See it rise, see it snap.
The Moonshot Dispatch.
Track go wild like that. Fresh alert, new candle. volume hit, whole screen shakes. One more push to the rumor, one more move for the break. Nick says, don't make now. Lee says, check that wall. We got the crowd on standby, waiting on the next call. Every game got a heartbeat, every dip got a grin. If the market wants fireworks, we'll be first ones in. Hold up, hear that room go loud. One more swing up, we can taste that cloud. Hands on the wheel now, eyes on the feet. If the line keeps climbing, that's the news we need.
The Moonshot dispatch.
Run it live, run it back.
The Moonshot dispatch.
Look at Lee on the track.
The Moonshot dispatch.
See it rise, see it snap.
The Moonshot dispatch.
Track goes wild like that. When the dust gets thick, we keep it clean and sharp. When the crowd gets hungry, we like that spark. Nick says, stay locked in. Lee says, stay away. If the moon comes calling, we don't hesitate.
The Moonshot dispatch.
Run it live, run it back.
The Moonshot dispatch.
Look at Lee on the track.
The Moonshot dispatch.
See it rise, see it snap.
The Moonshot dispatch.
Track goes wild like that.
The Moonshot dispatch.
We don't miss, we don't crash.
The Moonshot dispatch.
Catch the wave, then dash.
Lee and Nick with the Moonshot flow. Dispatch live, let the market glow. Crypto vibes where the numbers show. To the moon we go, let the podcast blow. Digital coins, we dissect them quick. Blazing insights, Lee and Nick. Price prediction sharper than a sword. Macro games, we break the board. The Moonshot dispatch, hear it loud. Crypto news making waves in the crowd. Stack your sets, let the market react. Stay ahead as we plan and enact. Volatility flips, we call the game. Market cap moves, never the same. Blockchain buzzing, the future's tech. Analyzing trends, keep it all in check. Dollar signs, the charts align. While the bulls and the bears intertwine. Fed talk rates climb or decline. We decode the nodes, it's all by design. The Moonshot dispatch, hear it loud. Crypto news making waves in the crowd. Stack your sats, let the market react. Stay ahead as we plan and enact.
The Moonshot dispatch live and direct. Crypto markets and TA intersect. I got stack them bags high, don't get wrecked. Nick and Lee, it's time to connect.
Well, Nick, what a difference a week can make. Last time we were here, it was just a sea of red. But 1 week away, and look, everything's changed.
So
Look at
prices,
that, nothing but green in the air.
prices we haven't seen since 4 days ago.
Correct. We've turned a corner, right? The total market cap for crypto has risen from 2 trillion to 2.2 trillion, all right? This is good. Even with strategy selling more Bitcoin to fund its dividends, you know? And a disappointing jobs report, whatever, doesn't matter. We're breezing straight past that. We're up 6.5% this week to 64,000 US close. Hey, that's not too bad. Now, what else have we seen this week, Nick? That was rhetorical. Don't answer.
What? Oh, okay.
Okay, so last week we talked about crypto quant, saying that that we've seen some signs that maybe with the selling ratio, blah blah blah, we could be hitting a bottom. Maybe, just maybe, crypto quant was right. Maybe we were the first to report on it. After crypto quant, of course, we reported on it first, but we reported on it second. We reported on
the
reporting.
first podcast called Moonshot Podcast to report on it.
Correct. Number one,
Can't take that away from us.
Bitcoin ETF inflows also tipped positive on Thursday.
Again,
But hang on, over the course of the week, we didn't quite go positive. But for one day, we broke a losing streak. And the US government are in consultation with the Justice Department, that is the Office of Legal Counsel, is working closely with both Treasury and Commerce Departments to determine legally available options to accomplish the President's policy of establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve.
that was a blast from the past. I was like, oh, that's right. I forgot
It
they
is back.
promised that.
It's back.
And, I think it's totally fair for everyone to have forgotten that because of all the other promises that you made and didn't follow through on. So
well,
I'm happy. I'm happy they're talking about it again, I guess, except for the fact that, maybe they're talking about it just to let us know that they're not doing it anymore. But anyway, let's see what comes out of this.
we'll see. Now Trump holds some sway, World Cups, strategic reserves, doesn't matter. Trump makes a phone call, something happens.
Yeah.
Although we did see Trump this week, it was sensationally because anyone who's tuning in, thank you for tuning in because I know that it's us or the World Cup.
Including, I think my daughter might be watching live in school holidays.
Oh, really?
So, hi, Rory.
Thank you for taking a break from the World Cup to watch your dad.
She's just vying for another cameo, isn't she?
Yeah, that's right.
You know what? I'd like to have her back. I could have a weekend off, another week off. Yes. Well, look, it's not just Bitcoin that's up. Tom Lee, Ethereum. Vitalik has come out and said we're running lean Ethereum now. All right, none of this, whatever it was before. We're going lean, baby. Ethereum is up 12%. Tom Lee in disbelief for all the right reasons this time. Maybe his wife's about to let him back in the house now. I don't know. Things are going well.
Yeah, still on the couch, but he's allowed back in the house.
He could start, promising, going, hey, look, maybe I can take you on a holiday. We can patch things up. Ethereum price is coming back.
Yeah.
We're 12% of the way back onto the 1 gazillion% return we need to get Ethereum to, what was it, 42,000 by 2030?
Yeah, 40,000 by in a couple of years. What was that by Geoff?
By Geoff.
Yeah.
By Geoff. Geoff is just,
Well,
Geoff could just be Tom Lee's wedding, magic marriage counselor,
that's
moonlighting
true.
as an analyst.
Yeah, I mean, aren't marriage counselors supposed to tell you how it is? I mean, Geoff is in Wonderland here. I did find it funny. I heard one of the quotes I saw coming out of this was, so Ether's bounced. He's done this double bounce and it's sort of on its way back up. It's over $1,800, and people were like, you know what? If it keeps going, what was the quote? Sorry. Some analysts believe it could push much higher.
Some.
I was like,
Geoff.
no, the analyst is Tom Lee with some glasses and a moustache. But
I just want to see Tom Lee's wife leave him for Geoff.
oh yeah, oh man, she's sucker for punishment.
That's out of the frying pan into the fire. Because,
Yeah, literally.
I don't
Can't
even,
get enough.
she just wants the bigger the eat ball.
Yeah, Tom Lee's not enough of a
That's
bull. Like, how is that possible?
Yeah, it's not that he's down billions; it's that he's not bullish enough.
Yeah.
He hasn't sold a kidney yet. He can still sell that. Like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the strategy sailor way, isn't it? Sell
Strategy?
your kidney, sell your house.
And then sell it. Well, then
Well,
sell
then-
it for the Bitcoin, of which the Bitcoin you might sell later.
Yes.
Fortunately, I don't think you can buy a kidney back. Well, you probably could.
Maybe not back, but you could probably find one.
Probably does help you jump the queue for the waiting list, I reckon. You go straight to the
Either way, it sounds like we're on the black market, so you can get whatever you want.
correct. All right. Well, Nick, how was your week been?
Yeah, good. I mean, these Bitcoin, like I think I talked about this last week as well. We're still in this kind of channel. Yes, we're not going down for once, which is nice. But we haven't, this 60 to 65K channel, we've been in here for a while. We're still in this channel. When I woke up this morning, we're at 64K, then we were down at 63K, and now we're back at 60. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I don't feel like we're up only. We certainly haven't broken above any kind of useful number that technical analysis would be interested in. But at least we're not down in the mid 50s or something. That's, it's good news until it's not, kind of thing. For the lack of bad news, it's good news. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I've kind of just been ignoring the price recently. Although I've been very interested in Solana's price, I have to say. So it's not doing maybe as well as Ethereum, and I think Ethereum jumped off the back of this lean Ethereum stuff that you alluded to. Solana just seems to be kicking goals in the background and churning through heaps of transactional volume happening, and the prices. I think the price is up like 9% or something like that, which is more than the general complex. Everything's sort of around the 5-6%, apart from Ethereum at 12. So ignoring Ethereum, Solana's doing very well. Anyway, why is that? I don't know.
Well, the number I had was 137.5 million at daily transactions on
Yeah,
top,
yes,
which is its highest of the year.
yeah,
Or near-
and
near
why?
all
Like,
time.
what are people using it for? Is my question. I know last week I spoke about the tokenized equities seem to be like ridiculous numbers on, and maybe it was sort of a cherry picked, a bit of cherry picked data, but it was something like 95% of tokenized equities were getting traded on Solana, which is huge, but it's still a percentage. It could still be, very small numbers
Yep.
in absolute terms. But regardless, it seems like everyone's picked Solana for that kind of, for that market. Oh,
I just dropped my pen. At some point, I'm going to have to commit to picking it back up.
Yeah.
Should I do it mid sentence? Should I wait for an awkward pause like this to reach down?
I mean, I can just kick it over to Jared and
Maybe.
no,
Oh,
Jared doesn't know what's
Jared's
going
not
on.
even
He's busy.
Jared's not even watching. Done.
Are you going to actually write stuff with it?
I'm using it to
just like a
point
little-
mostly.
Yeah, it's just like a little fidget spinner thing.
Yeah, mostly until I drop it again.
We need to find out who Alone Tonight is. I thought it was a staff member, but they were driving last week, so it couldn't have been.
Alone Tonight says Tom Lee's default market outlook is up and to the right. Yeah, I mean, I've said this before. He has to be. He has no other option. Like, this guy cannot sort of take a realistic view on the market when he has put his whole company, personality, life, marriage on the line for this thing. Like, that there is only one default position, and he has to come out every day and say, it's turning a corner. This is going to be awesome. Here's my projected outlook. It's going to be up here. Look at all this yield we're earning. Blah blah blah. Look at how strong the network is. And you can't really point at Vitalik because he's not an impressive character, but maybe point at some of the writings of Vitalik, maybe, which is very impressive. Yeah, like Tom Lee. I mean, we love to make fun of him, but the poor guy is like he's backed himself into this corner, and he has no other options. It's ride or die. And at the moment, he's riding, and he hasn't died yet. But gosh, I don't know how he keeps buying Ethereum. That's the other thing.
Where's the money keep coming from?
Everything's so far down, and he's somehow, Tom Lee's bought another $40 million worth of Ethereum.
Well, now that we've established his wife's a massive ETH bull and she whips him because he's not big enough of a bull, maybe she just is like, he's at home, he comes back and he's like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And she's like, get back out there.
Yeah, that's right. A, B, C. Always be closing.
Tom, you're down 4% affection this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skynet's back. G'day. Optimism is about the future. Optimism about the future always outperforms the doomsday.
Oh, we
Doomers
frozen?
always waiting for global economic collapse.
Oh.
Wow. Thanks. That was like, very difficult. High difficulty there, reading that in different screens popping up. Optimism about the future always outperforms the doomers always waiting for global economic collapse. I think the word always being in there twice really makes it difficult to read, but I get the point.
Yeah. It's so easy to tell that. You saw this, and it's very easy to fall into the everything's about to blow up trap.
Yeah.
Very, very easy. Yep. And
I mean, I did see something recently talking about, are we actually living in the worst of times kind of thing? Everyone, cost of living struggles to do this. Inflation's up. We've got war and all that kind of stuff. It is pretty, and then you got like global warming and climate catastrophes and whatever. Like there's a lot of things to be unhappy about. And I don't really have a but or, actually part of this, it is just kind of shit. But there are other things that are good. Like technically, we are in the most peaceful part, era of humanity. If you look at if you zoom out and look at what we've been doing before. I saw there was like some kind of Richard Atkin. No, what's the guy? The guy who does the nature documentaries.
Richard Dawkins? No. He's the David Attenborough.
Attenborough, yeah. Richard Attenborough, David Attenborough documentary about COVID and how like the planet just totally flourished when everyone just stayed at home. Like people stopped taking airplanes and driving cars and stuff, and suddenly like the turtles didn't have the beer cans around their neck, and so yeah, that was kind of interesting. It's like a positive view. We do have the ability to like fix some stuff.
You know, it's funny that
have the want?
well, actually, I read an article talking about how this is going back a millennia or so, but like when people were depressed, they used to prescribe physical activity, right? Because, you know, and it's probably still really good advice, is that in our modern day sedentary lives, the capacity for us to sit around and just ruminate on various things as opposed to get out there and dig some holes to plant some trees, move your body would probably fix most of the problems which only exist within your head. When you think that today our life expectancies are better than ever, our technology is unless, you know, the aliens left us, we missed some technology back from when Egypt was building pyramids. The technology has never been better. We've never had it so good.
Yes.
Yet here we are going, oh, my life is, you know, dude, like mostly we had like a mortality rate of children of like 50% from like dysentery and stuff. Like that doesn't happen anymore. Like things are better. You know, we don't have polio outbreaks and, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I heard an online commentator saying that if a king from the 15th century had the opportunity to swap places with a single mum, they would in a heartbeat.
Yeah, wow. That's pretty. Yeah, so I mean, the other thing is this just like our globalization? Do we have, you know, do we just know more about how there's so much bad things out there? Because, you know, media love to sell a bad story, right? People want to read about sad things that other people are in. And it just makes it look like the whole world is in trouble, and social media and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway.
Everyone just needs to go for a run and dig some holes.
Yeah, I don't know about the hole digging, but totally
ditch.
agree. Like,
Maybe you feel better.
Get those natural endorphins pumping.
That's what I'm saying. Get some endorphins pumping.
Yeah.
So it's probably not
You
bad
hear that,
advice.
Rory? Go outside and kick a ball.
Oh, school holidays at the moment, which is good advice for everyone. That's what you tell kids to do.
I mean, it's supposed to be raining like every single day this week. So hey, get out there and.
Oh, kids love the mud though. Come
deliver
on,
some
get out in the
paper.
mud.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a lot of mud.
What? Oh, no. Nowadays, no. That's true. Everyone's like, no, don't go outside. Don't have fun. Don't adventure because maybe, I don't know, something will happen.
Actually, interesting. Sorry to continue on this diatribe. My mum does this thing where she not motivates, but like, you know, counsels almost school age kids sort of in their early teens. And in this thing that she's doing, this particular school that she's working on this time, one of the things she's noticed is not one of the kids plays sport.
What?
Every single kid, they're like, you know, so what do you like to do? And they're like, oh, you know, I like to play computer games, or I like to read, or I like to whatever. And they're like, okay, like, do you do any sport? Do you get out there? Like, what sort of activities you do? And they're like, surely you do something. And like, no, none of them, not a single one.
That's
does
interesting.
sport.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah. And I just
They had this problem solved 100 years ago when they told people to exercise more.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm pretty sure most doctors say you should exercise.
I'd say so. Yeah, it seems pretty obvious.
Interesting. That is very interesting. Well,
I don't know, and it got like sample size of 1 or whatever, but it's pretty worrying. Like, it seems pretty obvious. Kids need to be active.
yeah, absolutely. Should we talk about crypto?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Let's get back into crypto.
The headlines this week. Competition for stablecoins is heating up. I think the big news this week is the advent, the right word, the announcement of OpenUSD. Huge project. A little bit of intro. It's not, I guess it's a little bit different. It's a consortium of supposedly 140 businesses that have come together, including big names, Visa, Mastercard, a bunch of banks have gotten in there. Even household crypto names like Harvey and stuff have put their names behind this project. Basically now there's a genuine competitor to, another competitor to USDC, USDT in particular. Really interesting. They announced this on the 30th of June, which is not too long ago, but I don't think we'll see it live and up and running for a little while yet. Yep. What can you tell us, Nick?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of controversy around this announcement because, as you say, there's 140 names behind it, which sounds wild, right? To me, immediately I'm like, hang on, how did they even coalesce 140? How did they get 140 different companies to come on board and agree? Yeah, well, I mean, there has been people talking about this for a little while, but it's a big number. Also, MasterCard and Visa are two of the big headliners. How is it that these two historic and classic, battlers, competitors, not battlers,
Little battlers.
They're up and comers. Yeah, no. How do these two massive competitors come together to do this kind of thing? My read on this,
And that's the big question, isn't it?
at a very high level, like, does it just tell you that these guys are scared about stablecoins and they're like, man, we better we got to do something. And if we try and go this alone, we can't hope to beat Tether and Circle.
I'm sure they were watching our podcast last week when we talked about remittances in Korea and the growth of stablecoin remittances. That
Yeah.
shit, we better do something.
Yeah.
Bang.
So maybe this is what's happening. They've
listened
finally they saw
They've
that and
been
they
listening to Moonshot.
decided it's time to join forces under stablecoins. I mean, I still think they're going to compete. Obviously, this is just sort of some rails that they're looking to use. But the other side of this is there is controversy in this announcement in that a bunch of companies have come out and said we don't really have anything to do with this OUSD thing. So one of them was Samsung, and there was a few other Korean ones that sort of said, look, we said to them that we were thinking about it, but we definitely didn't agree to anything or confirm anything, and yet their name appears on the list of names. And there are some other companies that have come out and said we specifically asked not to be on the list, and they got and we got put on the list. Having said that, and the other side of this is that there are other companies who wanted to be on the list and didn't get put on the list. So it seems very haphazard. I'm not quite sure like who to believe, but it doesn't seem very well organized.
Yeah, which is true. So I know you just put up a quote there from Skynet. The sheer number of companies listed makes me think what would happen in any business that attempted to make a decision with 140 people in the room. Nothing happens. Correct. If you want to kill something, what do?
Send it to a committee.
Correct. Bureaucracy. But what we do know. Sorry to interrupt. So what we do know so far is that the CEO of this is a gentleman named Zach Abrams from Stripe. Now he is the interim CEO. He's not the forever CEO. He's just the interim CEO getting this project up and down. So I guess he's been involved. Well, he is involved. But, you know, the future of this project and who controls it and who has the loudest voice in that room, 140 people, remains to be seen. And this will be really interesting. Do you think this thing has a real... Well, I've got a couple of ideas about it, but how do you see it having the capacity to compete with USDT? USDC, for example, the market, when this was announced, USDC Circle's share price took a 15% hit. So the market thinks that it's a genuine competitor.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good question. I think this seems to be more aligned with the USDC sort of strategy, I guess, the way that they're doing business. So if as part of this paragraph we're talking about here, one of the stats which I thought was very interesting is in the last, I think it was last month maybe, USDC accounted for 70% of the transactional volume of stablecoins.
Really?
And USDT accounted for 25% of the transactional volume. And then the remaining 5% was, you know, the other stablecoins out there. That is a crazy stat, right? When you consider that USDT's market cap is like 2 or 3 times bigger than USDC. So you know, my initial thought would have been USDT would absolutely blitz it. We do probably 50-50 USDT, USDC over the OTC desk at Independent Reserve, I would say. Oh no, that's not true actually. We do much more USDT than USDC. Sorry, yeah, that's way off. We do huge USDT volumes, not much USDC. So this particularly surprised me. But it does sort of point towards a general kind of shape of the market. So I think, and this is sort of just my thoughts on this, USDT is very popular in the LATAM countries as well as Asia, whereas USDC is kind of more towards the like the regulated kind of countries, right? Because they're all countries that are interested in a regulated stablecoin. People in those like LATAM Asian countries are probably more likely to be using USDT as a way to escape their own currency, right? Because they might have some like, you know, inflation. Some of them will have hyperinflation even, and they need to somehow get out of their own currency because it just gets inflated away. So they're much more likely to buy a bunch of this Tether product and then just hang on to it.
Gotcha.
Whereas USDC obviously is used much more transactionally. It's used for actually, you know, for conducting business, for making payments and remittances and all this kind of stuff. Having said that, you know, ground truth on our side is that is not the case. USDT is used much more. Not to say that USDC isn't as well, but, you know, when you have a product that doesn't pay you any yield, it's hard to justify hanging on to USDT.
And that's actually a really good point because the OpenUSD is probably, that's where it's kind of making its biggest differentiation between the USDT product is they're proposing a yield, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
That's right. Which is, for those of you, the uninitiated, well, I shouldn't say uninitiated, but those of you who may not be aware, USDT, for example, their entire business model is they collect USD, they give you 1-for-1 backing for it, but then all that interest which goes into treasuries and all that kind of stuff is then collected, which is the USDC model as well.
kept.
To be fair, it's everyone's business model.
Well, USDC do have a yields bearing product,
Almost.
but it's just not as popular, I guess, as obviously the USDC one. And it doesn't surprise me either because, as we've just discussed, USDC is very transactional. It's turned over way more often than USDT. So you would think it would be the opposite way around. In the product where there is the possibility for yield, people would be using that as a store of value. But it just seems USDT is just so much more ingrained into those markets that would need it for that store of value kind of purpose that people don't want to use USDC.
Yep.
Anyway, as you say, OUSD, OpenUSD is proposing, and again, they haven't released anything. They're not a product yet.
There's a lot of detail. There's a lot of detail missing.
It definitely seems like an announcement of an announcement at this stage. We haven't seen anything real, but they're proposing that they, after fees, will pay all of the yield that they earn on treasuries and whatnot back to the customer. And I guess the clincher here is that you and I cannot earn interest on OUSD. It's the Mastercards and Visas of the world that will be reaping these rewards, and they can then choose if they wish to pass on the yields to their, to their customers, I suppose. But
interesting. Just a quick question there from Skynet. Said, notice the big 4 Aussie banks were also listed on that list because, to be honest, I didn't look at all 140, so I didn't even know that.
no, I didn't know that either.
Yet alone, well, I certainly haven't heard any comments from the banks.
Which is probably, considering the track record of these companies and the ones that are listed and didn't even know about it, etc. The banks might not even realize they're on the list.
This 140 thing seems to be, you need to take with a big grain of salt.
Yeah. Skynet also mentioned OEC has no mint and redeem fees yet. We'll see how long that lasts. So that was true for Circle as well, and it's not so true anymore.
Is there any relation to OpenAI, or are they just? Is the name popular? Are they trying to?
Silly to me. Like when I first read it, I'm like $0 USD. Oh, okay, so that's how much money I'm going to have if I use your product. It just emotes these things inside you, which is probably not ideal from a marketing point of view. So the guy who's like operating this thing at the moment, Zach Abrams, he's currently from Stripe, from their Bridge business. So Bridge is a company that Stripe bought for $1.1 billion recently. And they do sort of stablecoin stuff, allowing businesses to accept and redeem stablecoins in a really easy way. I think it's a cool product. Let's use crypto instead of having to send stuff over Swift. If you're buying something internationally, you just do it with a stablecoin. Boom, so easy.
But look, to be honest, I mean, this whole idea of OpenUSD thing is completely unsurprising. I think to anyone who's been paying any attention whatsoever, there has been a mad rush on. I would say. Can I call it a mad rush? I don't know what adjective you'd put on the rush, but there's definitely been more additional uplift and movement towards, particularly in the US, people wanting to control, be part of this stablecoin rush. And if you go, hang on, okay, let's look at what the future kind of holds here, or the promise of the future that's hold just at a high level. It's going, okay, we've got this huge amount of banking infrastructure which can be completely replaced by having blockchain payment rails, right? Your whole bank, which has I don't know 200,000 people in the US to run, could be replaced by far less people. I don't know exactly how many.
Kevin is case in point, right?
Yeah.
It's a huge company.
No banking holidays because you don't have people that need to go on holidays. And if you're a bank, you go, oh sweet, I can have much higher uptime, much higher velocity of all these kind of thing. It's programmable. I just need a dude who's good with Claude to whip up a new app for me. Okay, this is of interest to me now, but it's also terrifying. I think in that, the true vision of what this could mean, which is complete disruption, and it doesn't surprise me that there's a lot of people in the banking industry who would be going, oh, hang on, now people who genuinely might compete and get what's going on here. Do you know what I mean? Like if a Visa and Mastercard, their business is about having a payments network, and they go, hang on. I mean, broadly speaking, I mean, the way Visa and Mastercard work is they're kind of a network between the banks. That's their whole business thing, right? And they're like, ooh, we could create our own money, which means we can have a network. So we have all the merchants, we have all the people, and we have this huge merchant base. And we could just have our own banking system.
I find it strange that
right?
Visa and Mastercard needed 138 other partners. surely they're big enough to just launch Mastercard USD or something like that.
Pretty sure they've been looking into that kind of stuff. So I think Visa have been investigating using USDC specifically for a lot of their internal stuff. Mastercard have been interested in crypto for a long time now, and they've got so much money, they're just throwing stuff against the wall, seeing what sticks. And I think this is probably just another one of their things. Some Stripe have probably come to them and said, "Hey, look, we're starting this thing up. If we are to compete with Tether and USDC, we need to come out in a big way. We can't sort of just ease our way into this market." Do you want to join? With us?
Check the mic. It's a bit quiet.
Oh, Jared has arrived. Player 3 has entered the arena, which is funny enough. That's what Paolo said when the announcement came out. I think he tweeted, he's like, "Player 2 has entered the arena," which is,
Okay.
and Broad Circle's like, "What about me?"
Test 1, 2, 3. All right, we're looking good.
Have we got sound?
Yeah. So I think they had to do something big because Tether is just running away with it at the moment in terms of market cap. So it doesn't surprise me that they got on board. It did surprise me to see both Visa and Mastercard there, and it kind of signaled to me that they were being serious about this thing. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Now, in the there's a lot of stablecoin talk. Most of the stablecoins we talk about are treasury-backed stablecoins. So they buy, US treasuries 1-for-1. They earn a bit of yield on it, and that's kind of the business model. I thought it might be worth talking about the other types of stablecoins that exist, because treasury-backed stablecoins aren't the only type. There's the famous ones we've heard about before, like MakerDAO is still around. It was called USDS now. That is still heavily backed, but it's sort of backed by a basket of different assets, including USDC. Famously, it's mostly just a proxy for USDC. Then you get some more sort of algorithmic ones. Now, the famous one everyone knows about is Terra Luna, and that famously failed because the algorithm didn't work as they thought it might. There is one other stablecoin I'd like to talk about though, which is kind of an interesting one.
Can I guess?
Go for it.
Athena.
Oh, he got it.
But not everyone will mistake it. Remember, it's Ethena, not
Athena.
not like the Greek goddess.
Not Athena, and there is another protocol called Thena, I think, which is what did we decide it was? It was like Binance Smart Chain. Yeah, Binance Smart Chain thing. Anyway, Ethena is another stablecoin platform protocol thing, which has an interesting kind of way of doing things. So it isn't backed by treasuries or backed by specific assets. What they do is when you buy some Athena, they'll buy some kind of collateral asset. So it might be Bitcoin or Ethereum or even stable coins.
It's like a delta hedging.
Literally.
Strategy
Then they take a short position on that exact same asset. So they'll buy $100 worth of ETH, and then they'll take $100 short on ETH. And that way, if the price of ETH goes down, the short wins. If it goes up, then the actual physical collateral they have wins. And this is kind of how they plan to keep the peg. Now, it's done pretty well so far. I don't believe there's been any major depegging instances. They also earn yield, so they might buy Ethereum, or they might even stake that Ethereum, so they can earn yield of the staked collateral, whether it's Ethereum or whatever they decide to choose. And they'll also earn yield off the funding. So when you're shorting an asset, generally people are going long. And if you're taking the opposite position to most people, then you can earn some funding. So they can also pay out yield on people who hold and stake their coin. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting idea. It is technically algorithmic, and so I'm very nervous about its longevity and how it can hold up in wild sort of market situations. But there are other things out there. And so Athena have also started doing a white labeling kind of thing. So there's a bunch of stablecoins out there that use the Athena sort of infrastructure to run their stablecoin, and essentially it's just the same idea. It's just backed by, like, their stablecoin is backed by this delta neutral strategy.
Can I ask? When I was looking briefly at Athena, that the delta hedging sort of strategy, does it rely? And again, forgive my ignorance, but does it rely on the underlying markets in which things are trading to be working, right? So.
Yes.
The big risk, I don't know if there's probably more than just this, but it seems like it's still then synthetic, and it's relying on the underlying, efficiency of these markets they're trading in to maintain this peg, right?
Yep. So you're relying on whatever platform you're shorting this thing on. You've got risk there. I guess you're relying on the custody where you hold the rest of your collateral. If there's huge market movements, the futures price where you're shorting can dislocate from the actual, spot price.
'Cause it's kind of possible that, let's say Athena became like, you wanted it to become really scalable and be this like, be this decentralized kind of, this stable coin that underpins a stack of finance, right? But it gets so big that the hedging position becomes problematic in the market because the market hasn't got the depth to effectively peg this thing, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely a problem. And yeah, the more shorting they do, the less yield they'll earn on it, right? Because the position gets crowded, so the yield goes down, the risk goes up. Yeah, this is all things that the Athena Foundation has to manage and figure out. But you're right. There's going to be a point where they're like, no more, thank you. We've got enough.
We have scaled as much as we can
scale.
scale.
And at that point, Athena starts rising above the $1 price, I guess, which would be quite interesting. It becomes it loses its peg to the upside, which would be wild to see. Skynet. DAI is the only major stablecoin that doesn't contain a freeze function, so it's a little more censorship resistant. Sure, but if it's underpinned by USDC, does that matter? And is the contract upgradable? I'm just throwing questions out there. Sorry, Skynet. But yeah, it's interesting. This is another aspect of these stablecoins, right? Like they're decentralized and they're on the blockchain, but they're controlled by a company, so the company can do whatever they want. And we have seen in recent times, USDT did there was some controversy. I can't remember, one of these hacks where USDT froze something and Circle refused to, or something like that. Okay, or it might have been the other way around. I'm forgetting what happened. But yeah, there was this controversy where like this clearly bad address wasn't getting frozen, and USDC or whoever it was could have done something about it. And so it's sort of the opposite risk where people are like, we need to be more censorship unresistant because we want to be able to freeze when bad actors do bad things.
I think it was the result of a hack. And they were trying to freeze.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did we talk about that?
We did, but I can't remember who was the baddie in this. It was either Tether
Wasn't it because and it was to do with? Oh no, I'm getting my wires crossed because I was thinking about that time when someone froze it because there was an injunction put on a court because of Korea, because the North Koreans stole it first. And then someone had. Remember that crazy story?
Yeah, that was funny.
Maybe that was a different.
No, that was different. Yeah, this was like what was it? The Drifter? No, yeah, I can't remember anymore. Anyway. Oh, it was Circle, says Skynet. Cool, yeah. So Circle should have frozen something theoretically,
Didn't.
but they didn't. And like it's damned if you do and damned if you don't, right? Like they should have frozen it to save the money, but they didn't freeze it, so they're not they're not censoring things. So they're good in one way, but they're not good in another.
I mean, sorry, Jerry, you were about to say something?
I was just going to say that Cardano's stablecoin's never been hacked. It's also an algorithmic stablecoin, but Anyway.
Never been hacked, never been used.
And can I just say, we're up 26% this week and no one cared.
Cardano. What do you mean no one cared? You cared. You
I
ran over to my
cared.
desk and told me.
But it's not market, market update.
Yeah, okay.
Look, I guess the big question is, a lot of the early adopters to crypto were like, oh, decentralized, be our own banks and be our own money. It's like, well, as soon as we moved to stable coins, that was never the case anymore. You're either playing in the regulated space or you're just a Bitcoiner maximalist. And I don't know if there's a little bit of in between, but realistically, everything's moving towards going, let's figure out the rules so we can all play by them.
Yeah.
The idea of just decentralized, it's going to be freedom for everyone, money freedom for everyone. It's not panning out that way. I don't think humans tend to have a tendency towards rules.
Yeah, I mean,
how our societies work.
And in these kind of like the first world countries, it seems like governments are just getting bigger and bigger and have more and more control and exert more and more power. So it's just, it's inevitable that we're going to get, have these rules dropped on us, and we've got no choice but to follow.
Anyway, clarity, chances. Oh, wait, let me introduce this a different way. Donald Trump made more money from crypto last year than all the miners.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it that way. And then we can like vaguely touch on clarity at the end, because I just really don't want to talk about clarity.
Because, well, it's pretty fascinating that he rug pulled all his constituents, made more money than all the miners, and then the part of clarity was like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't have presidents rug pulling people. And that's part of the reason Clarity's odds of passing is 46%. How's that for Brandon?
Yeah, okay.
That's
There's a lot
pretty-
to unpack there.
I know that's overly simplified.
Let's unpack this. So the stat that we saw came out. Some guy added up all the things that Trump had sort of gained in the crypto sphere, and it came out to be $1.4 billion worth of stuff. The next highest on the list in the crypto world was, I think, Coinbase, who had something like revenue or profits of 1.2 something billion dollars. And so yeah, Trump was at the top, and everyone's like, oh, that's not good. So it's his $1.4 billion is made up of sort of three things. One, the Trump coin, which is the major one. So that was the shadiest part of this whole deal, like clear pump and dump. Don't like that one. Second thing was his World Liberty Financial. So that was this sort of DeFi-ish platform where you can do some stuff, and he had a token on there as well, WLFI coin, I believe it is. And he sold some of that, or maybe not sold it, but he like issued it in credit markets or whatever. He did it a little bit less pump and dumpy, but it was still, he earned some money from that token, as well as selling, I guess, shares in the actual World Liberty Financial company as well. So I don't even know if he's a majority owner of that company anymore, or if like the Trump family organizations are a majority owner anymore. And the third thing was a thing called Stablecoin Holdco. So that's kind of this stablecoin thing he did. So he earned 636 million from Trump coin, 588 from World Liberty, and 197 million from the stablecoin.
Throw it up
thing.
there, Jared.
What
You
have
know
we
what?
got?
You know what? The man is enterprising. You can't take that away.
Oh,
from
wow,
him.
look at that.
You cannot say that Donald Trump is not an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, could he have done this any better in terms of like increasing his personal wealth? I'm not sure he could. Like, he milked the market so hard. He got that Millennia token as well. Like,
Oh, bang.
that didn't do as well, but man, who cares? Like, he just milked whatever was left. He took it as well. You know?
He also sold underwear, Bibles, and the Trump phone, which was a Huawei rebranded phone.
Huawei.
Was Huawei branded from 3 years ago, even though he banned Huawei.
Hey, look, you got to remember when you got to credit where credit's due. Remember when Biden was trying to rip people off through his son and all the dodgy dealings through Hunter, he just became a crack addict. Whereas, Hunter Biden's laptop, everyone anyway. But Donald Trump, he turned all his sons into gazillionaires. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
This is like, that's generational
Kind of
wealth.
impressive. Kind of impressive.
Oh, absolutely, but disgusting at the same time. Yeah, it's funny. So like the pump and dump thing's just outright dodgy. The other two ones are dodgy mainly because he, as the president, he can steer the regulation in the way that he wants to favor these pros. Anyway, this is kind of where it starts getting into the clarity kind of sphere as well, because people, obviously one of the big hang-ups in the clarity bill is the ethics provisions in there. And people are sort of worried that, that they don't want this kind of thing to happen again. And I was kind of thinking, why is it, this seems like a really obvious home run, right? Like, surely both sides of the party are going to want to say, yeah, we should have proper ethics in here. We shouldn't allow politicians to make money from it.
Oh, but then that would stop all the Democrats from making money too, like Nancy.
No,
Pelosi
well,
does.
she's not releasing Nancy coin, at least. She's just trading on insider information. That's different. Well, Nancy's another problem we've got to solve at some other point in time. But so the problem here is though that like the Republicans, if they allow this thing to go in, even if Trump isn't sitting there and whipping them into a situation where they feel like they can't vote for this thing because of what he's saying, if they agree to these provisions, then they're basically agreeing that their current president has done the wrong thing, because you're essentially blocking what is what the bill. Where was I going with this? You're stopping what the president has literally just done like moments before. So it's sort of how do you,
Admitting that what he did.
yeah, you're fully admitting that your president has done the wrong thing. So they're struggling to vote for this thing. The Democrats are like on the other side of the coin going, if we don't get this in, then our constituents are basically going to assume that we are endorsing this behavior. You know what I mean? So this is why it's become this real sticking point where they need, neither side really want to relent. Anyway, and that's why clarity's not going to get through.
Oh. I thought, okay, well, next.
Yeah.
Vitalik's ETH overhaul. All right. So I didn't look at it. I didn't look at this article, so I'm going to rely on you to explain this one to me.
Okay.
Lean Ethereum, what is it?
Vitalik decided to hit the gym,
That guy's already pretty skinny.
taking some protein powder. Now he's bulking up.
bulk,
You know.
bulk Ethereum?
Well, he's trying to get to a lean state because he's too, he's just way too lean. Now. So he's getting up into a lean state. No, so basically, I think Vitalik is now, he's shown signs, if you ask me, that he's a little bit worried about the state of Ethereum. He's never actually outwardly said it, and he's
like,
all,
why will it not pump? Why
yeah,
can't I get
yeah,
a pump?
basically. And he's never said it. He's always been very careful to not care about the price, which is, I think, the right thing to do. But a lot of his other movements are adjacent to, we've got to fix this thing. And this lean Ethereum, I was like, oh wow, he's basically gone. That's it. We're throwing everything out the door. We're starting again. We're going to build this thing from the ground up. We're going to get jacked.
Vitalik's getting jacked.
We're getting involved in every part of the protocol and changing it because right now it's not working apparently.
What?
I'm
not following.
It is working in that, it's doing its thing, but obviously it's not working enough or working well enough or working
Price.
fast enough or whatever, which is in some way affecting the price. So yeah, this lean Ethereum proposal is done, touches the thing. It's the third major iteration according to Vitalik. So first one was, what we had originally, the proof of work Ethereum. Number 2 was when we did the merge beacon chain stuff, moved over to proof of stake Ethereum, and this is number 3. So this isn't going to be like the proof of stake flick where they did it all in one. It was sort of one big change and it was all highly risky. Apparently, they're looking to do this over 3 or 4 years, make various iterative changes, but with the end result being this lean Ethereum outcome. At a high level, they want a cheaper way to store data. So it's interesting. So in the Bitcoin world, this would just mean spam on the chain. People would get upset and go, oh, you're just going to put, JPEGs on the blockchain. Well, Ethereum want to make it easier to put JPEGs on the blockchain because it's...
well, we need more JPEGs. I mean, those JPEGs can also be, I don't know, insurance contracts or it could be various other things that relate to contracts so we can move around value on a bunch of different things. It doesn't have to be a JPEG of a...
It doesn't. No, you're right.
Deed for a house.
I was being facetious, but yes, there are a lot more use cases here that this could make things better for. Apparently, they're looking to reduce the cost of tokens or something like that, moving tokens by like 10-fold, which is a big number without breaking any existing technology. Quantum is one of the things they want to address. One of my favorite things. I'm very glad they're focusing on this. Apparently, quantum has just leapfrogged the priorities list. And they're gonna. What else have we got here? They want to use ZK Starks for verification and formalize, formalize this stuff. So there's a lot of things here. It is as usual a technical upgrade, and it's not something that just going to like slot in. It's going to take a lot of work, but the end result is going to be a quantum safe, faster, cheaper, blah 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 blockchain. I'm guessing they're trying to compete with the the Solanas and that kind of Solanas of the world, and I guess the Cardanos of the world as well.
Thank you for the acknowledgement.
Yeah, there you go. That's probably why would Cardano probably dumped after that news, I guess. So Ethereum was up 12% after that. We've got a question here. What does proof of work mean?
Oh, mate, Nick, back to your roots, back to some
yeah.
Crypto 101.
Well, this is exciting. Proof of work. Wow. I remember when I first learned about this and trying to understand. Anyway, proof of work is basically, as far as I know, the only real coin these days using proof of work is Bitcoin. Everything else is mostly a proof of stake variant. You do have the old school stuff like Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin, which is still proof of works. Dogecoin as well, I think is. But anyway, proof of work is a way to essentially verify that you've done some work. So in the way a blockchain works is you create a block with a bunch of transactions in it, but you don't want anyone to just be able to arbitrarily create their own block and send it and have it work. You want to make sure that people have put in a bunch of work so that it can't be replicated. Man, I'm not explaining this very well. Yeah, you couldn't call me off the block here. So we get Skynet on board to explain this stuff. Essentially, if you have a blockchain, you need to have a bunch of work so people can't reverse the blockchain. Is the idea. If someone were to try and recreate the blockchain and put their own block somewhere in, you need some way to prove that they haven't done this. How do you do that? You make it very difficult to create a block, and then once a block has been created, you make it very easy to prove that that block was created successfully. So this is kind of one of the smarts of how Satoshi created this idea of blockchain. Well, he called it a time chain, I think. I don't think he ever used the word blockchain. But the idea is if you can prove that you put a lot of work into a block, then it's very difficult to replicate. And it stops people being able to double spend because they can't just recreate the block with a different transaction set in it. Proof of work is great as Bitcoin was invented or used with proof of work originally. The idea of proof of stake has come out more recently to sort of say, hey, we can do this in a greener way where we're not burning CPU cycles. And so that's why a lot of blockchains have kind of flipped over to proof of stake recently. But there are pros and cons. We've spoken about a guy called Paul Stortz in the past, and one of his concepts is that proof of stake is just proof of work. You know, when it comes down to it, when you go to the logical conclusion, essentially you'll be just grinding histories in proof of stake, which is the same as proof of work. So he's got an argument that says proof of stake is no better than proof of work, and it's just, you know, a dress up. Why do we still use proof of work in Bitcoin? Well, no one will ever change the Bitcoin protocol, and I don't think they should, to be honest, in this aspect. It was kind of one of these protocols that was, what do they call it, like the Immaculate Conception, right? It was the first one there, so it got away with a lot of this stuff. You wouldn't really want to change it now. Skynet, proof of work is the rules by which someone is allowed to add to the ledger. Yeah, that's right. So you need to prove you've put work in to be able to add to the ledger. Otherwise, if it was easy to add to the ledger, then everyone would do it. And you could get people just recreating new sort of ledger chains and allowing them to you know, send money where they want to, which is obviously not what we want. It stops the double spends. I explained that very poorly. If you are interested, please let us know in the comments, and maybe next week I'll come in with a couple of slides and we can sort of talk about it in a better way.
Yeah, indeed. Alrighty. Thank you for that long and unnecessarily complicated way of explaining.
It's a great, proof of work is an amazing invention. I'd love to talk about it more in depth. I did give a speech here back in the day, not in this office, in a previous office, about proof of work and how Bitcoin works. I had a bunch of slides. I should probably get them together again, actually.
Who did you do the presentation to?
It was like a Bitcoin for beginners kind of thing. We just put the call out, and if you're in the area, you come over to our office, and we just spent a night, you know, we had some dinner and talked about Bitcoin, and people asked questions.
How long ago, when was that?
Yeah, I don't know, 2019 maybe? 2020, something like that. No, it would have been before COVID, so it would have been, 2018, 2019.
As a bit of a segue, we had our 13th birthday party last Friday night. So for you, what was that? I guess you've been here for, when did you start?
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
It's pretty early on. So
you were a teenager now, Independent Reserve. How about that?
Long time in crypto years, isn't it? Long time. Okay, no comments. Okay.
No, I mean, you're correct. It's a long time. So Skynet says he thinks Bitcoin will eventually swap to proof of stake due to security budget. Okay. Big call.
That's controversial. That
So
is a controversial.
Would that
statement.
kill the mining industry?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
definitely. I mean, as soon as you start to go proof of stake, you now have to have the concept of yield, right? So people, instead of earning a block reward, you are paid a yield on your validating activities. And I mean, it'd be the same, right? So all of the Ethereum mining groups just switched over to proof of stake, or they started mining something else that was still proof of work that worked. So like Ethereum Classic is still proof of work. And there's all these other little weird coins that they moved over to. I know one of the guys in our office used to do a lot of Ethereum mining, and so he switched over to, I don't know, VeChain and other weird sort of coins I'd vaguely heard of but didn't actually know still existed. But yeah, you can still turn a profit if you have all the right gear. Bitcoin moving over though would be a big deal because all of those ASICs that exist would just become useless. You don't need huge computing power for proof of stake. You need stable and powerful internet connection, basically.
Can ASICs be used for anything other than mining?
I mean, their circuits, they can probably be repurposed in some fashion, but essentially they are made to grind hashes, and that's pretty much all they do. I guess you can probably write software that uses them for other things, but not very efficiently. Good question though.
It's an interesting, well, I guess the mining, well, I know there's an article later on we talked about there is an outfit out of Japan which had been mining since 2021 and they have recently come out and said, no more mining, we're done. They didn't actually give a reason, so I suspect that is because they're like, well, there's got a lot of money and power and infrastructure dedicated to something that's probably not making us money at the moment.
Yeah, they're probably just pivoting to AI, I guess.
Probably just pivoting to AI, which we've seen with a lot of Bitcoin miners, because I guess the value that they, in some of them, and they're all set up a little bit differently, is some of the miners actually do have, getting power and infrastructure to, data centers to, huge converters or whatever, and all that power takes a lot of effort and energy, and not just energy, but a lot of effort and organization. So, and the demand for AI computers is so much probably more profitable, really.
Yeah, at this stage.
Surprisingly, a lot of those miners may naturally use their infrastructure for things like AI and whatnot.
Yeah, AI is so hot right now, literally and figuratively. The S in ASIC stands for
application specific something chip.
I mean, the chip's optimized for one thing, which
Yeah,
is the
they're optimized for one thing.
SHA-256 hashes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could, yeah. Look, I'm talking out my ass. I assume you can write some software that can use it for other things, but it just wouldn't be very quick at doing it. Whereas, like, a classic computer CPU can do whatever you throw at it.
Is there any other process where grinding hashes is required other than mining?
I guess if you're trying to crack passwords, maybe. Yeah, North Korea is like, oh, what's this you say?
I know, but the North Koreans, they don't have a lot of power. That's why they've moved to hacking.
Don't they have nuclear?
You know what I've seen a lot of this week, actually? In terms of various scams and whatnot have been going through. Right now, there's a lot of attention. We've received a number of people who've reached out to us, I guess. This is probably they're not being concerned. And basically, it's like scammers reaching out to companies in various states of development looking for large investments. So I don't know, I'm a medtech company and I want to grow, and someone approaches me and says, hey, I'd love to invest in your business. I'm doing a raise for, I don't know, $800,000 or $1 million to scale a product, whatever. And scammers are reaching out to these people with the same tried and true scamming methods they've been using on individuals. Now they're going a bit larger, which has been a noticeable increase in the past few months, actually.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I guess that's just seems to be the flavor of the month in terms of the scams, is reaching out to small, medium-sized enterprises and posing as investors.
Do we know how successful they are?
Well, we've had some conversations with some people. Obviously, I won't mention who, but inevitably you can kind of spot these things because they'll ask for things like a Satoshi handshake, and they'll all these types of things where they're saying, I'd like to invest, but for us to invest in you, you need to stump up some money and put it in a cold storage solution, have this fancy kind of thing, this weekly sort of checking with Satoshi hand, which opens up an opportunity to expose, weak points, all this kind of stuff. And the people who have reached out and said, oh, great, I've got an investor. I'd love to reach out and see if I can work with you guys to facilitate this overly complicated system. And we're like, that is all but likely a scam.
All the hallmarks.
And it's got all the hallmarks. And unfortunately, I guess a lot of these business owners that are coming to us are very new to crypto. And so there's some legitimate terms mixed in with some BS terms. And it's enough to get them going down this path of the ones that I've seen. It's just crazy, right? Because if you think about it, if you were a regular business and someone said, I want to invest in you or give you a loan or whatever, how often have you had to give them money up front? Right? Just in general. Like, it's not a thing you do. Yet somehow, because they're introducing the idea of crypto, all of a sudden now you have to start stuffing up.
This is normal in the crypto system.
This is normal in the crypto world, which of course it's not. It's the same. If someone wants to invest in you, they will send you the money and you'll have it.
That's it. You draw up a contract.
You draw up a contract and do it. You don't need all this fancy stuff. So I'm not sure if there's any small businesses out there who are looking to raise money and have these overly complicated crypto arrangements, but just be very careful. It's no different to raising money in the TradFi world. It's just the means of settlement is now most likely a regulated stablecoin. Anyway, that's just something I've noticed this week. There has been an increase in these types of targets going out there. So if nothing else, it's a general warning to everyone out there. The scammers never sleep. Oz in North Korea? Do they? I'm sure they sleep.
They take shifts, I'm sure.
They take shifts.
Yeah.
They probably do sleep.
Got to sleep. Skynet, any thoughts, comments on Robinhood Layer 2 chain built using Arbitrum, designed for RWAs?
I don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about it either. Good luck to them. Another Layer 2. Discussing this in the office today, actually. What is, with Ethereum getting cheaper and cheaper, it costs, Gwei is at 0.1 or something like that. It is so cheap to operate on Ethereum. What's the, what is the value case? Why does anyone hold ETH anymore? Because you don't really, you can have $10 worth of ETH and that's enough for like 2 months. You know what I mean? And so it kind of takes away the point. And I think we've discussed this with you, Skynet, on that episode where you joined us. What's the point of these layer 2s? They've got to have, to have a successful layer 2, you've got to have something that's very targeted. You've got to have a very specific use case and a roadmap and design in mind. Robinhood's looking to build a layer 2 using Arbitrum. Like, why not just use Arbitrum? Why not just use ETH at this stage? Like, why even bother with the layer 2? They're a bit faster, I guess, but if you're just...
Well, this is the thing. Ethereum has done so many awesome upgrades to become now so fast that like you don't really need to have...
I mean, if they're looking to try and replicate, Hyperliquid or something, then you can't do that really very well on on Ethereum at the moment. Like Liter is an example of a Hyperliquid competitor built on a layer 2. And so maybe if that's what they're trying to do, cool. Maybe that's what they're trying to do, actually. If they looked at what Hyperliquid's done, they're like, man, we need to get a piece of that pie. So building something building it from the ground up to be, perps, RWAs, whatnot. That's my guess.
Now, interestingly enough, Skynet, I know you've asked another question here around North Korea. Seeing as we're talking about North Korea, like the North Korean group, the Lazarus group, is always very active, and absolutely, every business, doesn't matter who you are, crypto or otherwise, needs to be very careful of this. Do we ask people if Kim Jong-un is a fat ugly pig on a routine basis?
Yeah. I mean, we do our interviews in person for the most part. Like as soon as they get past, the first round. I think usually these North Korean things, they're they're remote home workers, so it's less of a problem when you expect someone to come into the office for the interview.
The other thing, I guess, to keep in mind that these scams they not just the North Koreans, but any scamming group will come at you from so many different ways. They'll target that. It's not just the employees, but they'll target fake ads. They'll target individuals. They'll target everything they can. I mean, this is their job. They're professional.
Yep.
They do sleep, as we just established, but not.
Yeah.
Where am I going with? You know what I mean?
Fact check required.
That's their entire job. And when you do something full-time job and you've got all the resources dedicated, you get very, very good at stuff. So, if only they could work out a way to make scamming legitimate. There you go.
Can't they earn money the old-fashioned way?
Can they just
like hitting someone over the head with the...
I mean, for a communist country, they probably learn, if we work really hard at a niche thing, we become really good at it. Maybe we could apply these things to other things apart from just scamming.
Yeah.
Maybe we could apply this to a new industry.
Do you reckon they started scamming with the goal in mind of getting 10 million bucks, and then they got there really quick and they're like, man, we could just keep doing this.
Totally.
We've earned enough money to get out of for whatever reason we originally started, but actually we're extremely good at this.
Well, this is how industry starts, and well done North Korea for having to go at capitalism. Maybe do it you know what I mean? Like, for example, WD-40, we talked about that, right? It started off as, a lubricant for preventing missiles from rusting and became a household name.
Yep.
Anyway, next question.
Next topic. Let's move on. What else have we got?
Oh, okay. You can. Oh, no more questions. Nick, you can ask the question.
Do you want to talk about strategy?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I did. Well, actually, sure. Because you know what? I always found it interesting that Bitcoin Strategy sold a bunch more Bitcoins, and we know they approved to sell up to 1.5 billion.
1.25. Yeah.
1.25 billion, sorry. Now they have a bunch of cash and they've stressed this. So now I think that analysts, this is talking about Strategy paying dividends and potentially selling Bitcoin, which is initially came to as a bit of a shock of the market, but then they've just gone on with it and everyone's like, oh yeah, whatever. Once we've adjusted to the news, everyone just gets on with life, don't they? Now, interestingly enough, I was reading that they basically Salon needs about 1.5 bill or so to make the wheels turn on his
Yeah, 1.7, I think.
1.7. Okay,
Yep.
so
Per,
you know,
per year.
per
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
I don't know what strategy itself generates in terms of free cash flow, but with the cash
like
and the
that.
Bitcoin, it seems like he's going to pay it out.
Yeah. There's some interesting sort of mechanics going on here. So he sold 32 Bitcoin originally. Everyone's claiming that was the cause of, the drop under 60K. A big, people had a lot of issues with it. And then recently he sold 3,588 Bitcoin for 216 million bucks. We saw a little dip and then it kind of corrected itself fairly quickly. Why would he sell this amount of Bitcoin? So as you say, he needs about $1.7 billion worth of USD per year to pay his dividend yields obligations. Why would you sell? And he's got 2.6 billion dollars in cash reserves. Why is he selling $216 million worth of Bitcoin? It seems like a strange number when he A, already has the amount, and B, this sell is not going to actually cover a year's worth of obligations, yield obligations. What's the answer? I don't really know. So this 216 essentially covers his latest payments, which means he doesn't have to dip into that $2.6 billion worth of cash reserves, which, is signaling to the market. That's all I can really come up with, because either that or this is the first of many kind of thing, because, he's got approval. He's allowed to sell up to 1.25 billion. He sold 200 million worth. So he's got about $1 billion left of selling potentially that he could do. But even that, like $1.25 billion worth of sales, that's not even enough to cover 1 year of dividend repayments, right? If he's got $1.7 billion of obligations, what's the deal here? So to me, this $1.25 billion is just the first of many. Like next year, he's probably going to come out and do the same thing. Go, yep. So we've signed off on another up to 1.5 billion or whatever it's going to be worth of Bitcoin sales. And this is going to kind of be an ongoing thing because he needs to generate the cash in some way. Historically, he's just sold more shares to the market, but that's only going to work for so long. You can't keep diluting forever. If the price of Bitcoin goes up, people get a bit more excited and they probably buy the MSTR shares a bit more. And so he has more capacity to sell into the market to create this cash buffer that he needs to pay off these dividends. But otherwise, like in a bear market, if we continue bearing, like he's going to have to find some way to do it. What is it? Well, he's selling Bitcoin.
I thought CryptoCoin showed us that we're out of the bear market. It's all smooth sailing.
Well, maybe, and in that case, then he maybe doesn't have to sell more Bitcoin next year, possibly, or sells less or something. But he's still, to me overall, like if I take a step back from all this, like you get, lost in the details of this STRC product and, all of these other products that he's got. I like that he's sold because I've always said that I hate how much Bitcoin he has. He's got too much. So I want him to sell more. I wish he'd sold more at the bottom and just like be done with it. Like sell, 10% of his stack or something. I don't know. Dump it into the market. Horrible bear market creates incredible buying numbers. You can buy Bitcoin for super cheap. But yeah, I just want him to sell more. I don't want him to dump the market. Obviously, that's not great, but I don't want him to hold so much Bitcoin. It becomes existential when someone like this company has too much Bitcoin. Skynet. The best part of the strategy topic is that the immaculate godlike aura assigned to Saylor is finally coming off. He's never upheld the value of Bitcoin. Yes, I totally agree. Saylor has this long history of saying a bunch of stupid stuff about Bitcoin and how, I think originally he was like, the Lightning Network's going to compete with Ethereum and you don't need Ethereum because you just do it all on the Lightning Network. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? And Lightning Network has, arbitrarily has failed, since then. And not only can it never do that, the things he said it could do made absolutely no sense. And then Lightning Network hasn't worked out at all. Yeah. And then, always buy, never sell your kidney, sell your house before you sell Bitcoin. Here he is selling. It is, I agree. The sheen's coming off. I kind of just want him to fade into obscurity and just keep selling a little bit of Bitcoin here and there. So we distribute this Bitcoin out to people who deserve it.
A really ridiculous hypothetical, but let's say Saylor comes out tomorrow and says, I've lost the seed phrase for half of my Bitcoin. So it's not selling, but a good half of the stack is gone, essentially.
That's the opposite of selling.
Yeah.
It's now locked up. That's great. He's reduced the supply. Yeah, would you believe him? I definitely wouldn't. There's no way that Saylor is the guy, only guy who has a seed phrase to 840,000 Bitcoin or whatever he's got. Yeah, look, I had a point to make here. I can't remember, but yeah, I don't know. I want him to sell a bit more. That's the end of my talk. So STRC, the product it's it seems to be recovering. It's up to like $89 now. Everyone's talking about that thing falling over, but now that he's got a bit more cash and he's shown he doesn't even have to sell his cash. This is an interesting point I thought as well. So these products that he's built, these STRC, STRD, STRF, STRK, the list goes on, they are all contractually not backed by the Bitcoin stack that Strategy owns. So if things go pear-shaped, you don't have any claim. If you own STRC, for example, you don't have any claim on the Bitcoin that Strategy owns. But in complete opposite to that stance, he is showing the market that when push comes to shove, he is using the Bitcoin to back up the product because he's selling this Bitcoin to make sure he's got enough cash to pay these dividends. So he's creating this situation here. And like, if you look at it cynically, he's built this product here where secretly, and it's not very secret, obviously, but secretly it's not actually backed by Bitcoin. You look at MicroStrategy and you go, oh man, this is like the Bitcoin company and these products surely like, if things go wrong, well, at least he can sell a Bitcoin. But the fact is they don't. And now he's selling Bitcoin to pay for the dividends, further creating this image that it's backed by Bitcoin when it's actually not. He's just doing it out of the kindness of his heart. Is he about to rug everyone and go, haha, Bitcoin's mine?
Where would he go? So if he rugged us, where would he go?
Wherever he want. He could buy Australia.
Could he? How much?
I don't know. He couldn't sell any, obviously.
Where would Sailor go? If you rugged everyone, see, this is the problem. If you're going to be a criminal, you need somewhere to jettison off to.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Where's he going to go that's better than probably the life he has right now?
I wonder. Do you reckon he's lives a good life? Do you reckon he's full of stress, or it all rolls off like water on a duck's back?
Well, he could have retired well before he got into the Bitcoin. He said this, and how much you can believe it. He said, look, dude, I could have retired, but I got so invigorated by this Bitcoin thing. It's keeping me going.
Yeah.
This is his purpose. And he's kind of more or less handed off, I guess, the day-to-day running of his business to from Lee, I think his name is. And
yeah.
So he just kind of
that was by purpose, right? Like, wasn't he forced to do that?
I'm not sure.
Came for him.
Maybe. But he now is kind of like, now he just sits in his sweet office with his boats, just talking Bitcoin, doing whatever the hell he wants,
getting ChatGPT,
just rage baiting you. Like he's having his best time, mate. Who knows? Maybe he did this whole thing just to wind you up, Nick.
Skynet's sending him to North Korea.
He tuned in the Moonshot dispatch and was like, "Why does Nick hate me? You know what? I'm dedicate my life."
Yeah, that's right.
And every day in fact, somehow he just knows.
Do they get YouTube in North Korea?
No way. I doubt.
Kim would.
Kim would.
Yeah.
Just wondering if anyone from there watches.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably Kim Jong-un.
Yeah. I guess the Lazarus Group or whatever, they need to be involved in all that social media stuff, so they would get it. There'd be pockets of society.
Ma'am, these men are calling me a fat ugly pig again.
He went to.
He was immaculately conceived, wasn't he?
Didn't he go to school in Vienna or somewhere? Like he went there and he used to hang out with Dennis Rodman, and he's just like, dude, I just want to chill and just be a regular dude, eh? But instead I got to be
dictator.
I got to be a dictator. Got to have this cult of personality around me. Everyone's got to think I'm cool.
I'm so Rory.
Captain America. There's a bunch of stuff happening in Asia this week as well. The MAS has set out some safeguards in regards to AI. I won't spend too much in this, but it's interesting though because agentic finance is a big thing, and a bit like the internet, no one's quite sure, or even just crypto, no one's quite sure where to put in. Everyone knows it's a big deal, but no one quite knows the impact of it because we're still working it out.
Yeah.
How do you make laws for something you still don't fully understand? It's probably the interesting part about this. But they have come out and said, look, let's have some safeguards in place, some predefined mandates and policies and risk boundaries set by financial institutions, so that AI can't just roam autonomously forever and a day. Exactly what those predefined mandates, policies, and risk boundaries are, I don't know, but they're doing it. What else have we got? JP Morgan is adding the Singapore dollar to its blockchain network. That's pretty cool. Again, I probably won't spend too much time on this. You know what I want to talk about? More Korea. Well,
South Korea.
South
I
Korea.
assume, yeah.
South Korea has come out this week, and there was two big things. One is that they basically said who was it? The governor of the Bank of Korea. So I guess the equivalent of Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell still. I think he's the guy.
You mean Kevin
what's his
Walsh?
name?
Yeah.
Kevin Walsh or whatever. It's basically said the big prize is tokenizing government bonds. So we know
Yeah.
that the Koreans have moved into this space, which again, that's true. I mean, even in Australia, where this whole Project Acacia was all about, was kind of like looking at ways we can modernize the transactions, because there's huge amounts of transactions, huge amounts of inefficiencies in the system, and they're less than trivial sums. And being able to autonomize and make that efficient is going to be a huge unlock for efficiency gains for the finances of countries. But the reason I want to talk about this is that they introduced a law. So South Korea introduced a law which basically banned companies from pivoting to treasury companies.
Yes, I did read about that. That
And
was
this, you know what, this is fair enough, because there was they said there's like a biopharmaceutical company that was basically went through its IPO process and said, hey, we're a it's a pharmaceuticals company, effectively, anyway, yeah, you got what I'm saying. And said, okay, we're doing the IPO. Investors are like, sweet, I'm into exposure to that sector. And they're like, oh shit, we're not making money. It's crypto treasury time, baby. And of course, that's probably not that great a strategy.
Which one did they choose? Do you know?
Bonk.
Yeah, bonk.
Definitely
God
was.
damn it.
Unfortunately, not Cardano. Could have, anyway, but you know what? I think this is probably fair play, because if companies are going to list on the exchange and their reason for being a listing exchange is about being a medtech company, then all of a sudden going, oh, you know what?
It's a sideways rug pull. Isn't it?
Sideways rug pull, and it's not what they went to investors. So that was kind of interesting. So anyway, I guess the key thing there is sorry.
Do we know, is this simply about pivoting to be a treasury company, or can you not start one in the first place?
This is about pivoting.
Okay.
So this is about pivoting. So if your rationale for becoming a listed company is based on X, you can't just be like, you know what, change our minds.
Yeah, which makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, do you reckon they listen to us and all the shit we give Sailor? And they're like, yeah, those guys are right.
Probably.
That's
Jared has reliably told me our viewer numbers are going up despite the World Cup. So I'm pretty sure are we the most influential people in crypto right now? Like, I don't know, maybe.
Easily.
Probably not.
easily. Come on, back yourself.
I should have said that more confidently, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
The problem was I just didn't say enough confidence. Yeah, Nick, we are.
Yeah, of course. My mum says, I got my daughter watching this thing. That's how influential we are.
You reckon Rory's still watching? I reckon she's gone straight for she's changed now.
Yeah, probably watching
Netflix-
some Minecraft
Netflix.
movie or something.
Minecraft movie is out on Netflix, and
Yeah.
it's us or Jack Black. So
Yeah.
it'll be.
I'd probably watch Jack Black, to be honest. Yeah, it's fun.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, okay.
It's surprising. It's got legs, like 3 or 4 watches in, and I'm still finding new parts that are funny.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, they're so absurdly over the top that it's funny.
The Lava Chicken song and the chicken jockey stuff went viral. I know that, and my kids are always singing it. In fact, it wasn't. You go into a room and there are children there, and there are boys jumping up and down singing that Lava Chicken thing. My son was going to like a bunch of parties, like birthday parties or whatever, and you go to like the bounce parties. Everyone goes to the
trampoline things.
things. And these boys, just after that movie came up, they couldn't contain them, because as soon as they got together, they started singing that Lava Chicken song and were just like tearing the place up. And they're like, quick, just don't even bother with the briefing, just get them out there.
Yeah, got to burn energy. I went to a movie theater to watch it with my kids and my nephews and niece as well. And at that time, there was this whole thing happening where during the chicken jockey scene, people would go crazy. Like, kids in the audience at movies would be throwing popcorn and drinks, and like, it was just wild. And so I was kind of bedding down, like getting ready for this crazy thing. I went further to the back of the room because I didn't want to be covered in popcorn. But yeah, we're in some little theater in Nelson Bay or something like that, and nothing really. Everyone got excited, but no one threw anything. So,
What?
yeah, which I was happy about. I didn't want to get. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
So
watch the slide collapse from the ground up, from the bottom up. Children overtake us all.
Well, I will go and watch it then.
Yeah.
There's some other things happening, I guess. But look, we've run pretty long.
Yeah, what else
We've
we
done
got?
well.
Yeah.
It's because mostly because it took you so long to explain how proof of work works.
Yes. Oh man.
Maybe you didn't spend half-hour show time on air bumping your way through that one, Nick. We would have been able to cover off the news.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Apology accepted. Don't do it again. All right. KimTube. Oh, North Korea. I haven't got any other stories about North Korea today. But I like
It's
anyway.
unusual.
North Korea is a fascinating place. Not
It
because
is.
not because of the Lazarus Group, because it's genuinely like
Not
name
only
another
because of the Lazarus Group.
Lazarus, what's
Not
that?
only because of the Lazarus Group. I think it's
Well, name another country that has been completely isolated for like cut itself off from the entire world for like the last 60, 70 years.
yeah.
Oh, there's that alien, that island off the coast of India.
Oh yeah, well, they
Sentinel
attack anyone who
Island.
comes along. Yeah.
There we go. They're
Yeah,
not
but they've been-
they're
they've
not
done-
great hackers though.
That's true. But they've been doing it for like thousands of years, haven't they?
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
one of those ones
they're
that
they're
just
kind
refuse-
of backwards. Yeah. And we can say that because they can't watch us.
It's like those stories.
It's
you
not
hear-
racist because they can't hear us.
It's kind of like those stories you hear about, the Japanese guy who never
Yeah.
quit his post and he'd been in the jungle for 80 years and all this kind of stuff.
Defending.
They're still maintaining the rage. Like it takes so much effort to like really maintain the
Yeah.
rage. for that
He
long.
still had bullets, which is surprising. Like
wow.
he would have gone a year or two without firing the thing, and he was apparently still terrorizing Filipino farmers. And they're like, guys, it's been 20 years.
We're friends
No, it's been
now.
like, it's been forever, and like it was funny because I think the government or whatever the government had tried to get this guy back because the local Filipinos have been someone get this crazy Japanese guy out
Yeah.
of here, and no one could do it, and a bunch of students who were like archaeology students or something like that, they'd heard the story, and they decided, you know what, we'll go find him, and in like 6 days they found him. And they managed to like took all these things to him, and they're like, "Dude, here's the newspaper from 2020."
He thought it was all propaganda and fake newspapers delivered
shit.
by the West to try and say, "Hey, look, I would have heard if Japan had fallen." And they ended up having to get his original general out of retirement, 70-something years old. You're now released.
Yeah, that's right.
He would,
Stand
that's
down,
right.
soldier.
They went and that's right. They went and said to him like, "Hey man, what will it take to convince you?" They're like, "I'll only command if my commanding officer." Luckily, this guy was still alive.
Yeah.
And they dragged him over into the jungles and managed to do it. That is commitment. That is commitment. Like Jared, what would it take you to sell your Cardano?
Yeah, that's right.
Charles Hoskinson to come down into the mountains, find me, and say, "It's over."
I thought he went on YouTube recently and did that. He's like, "It's over, boys."
No, it was
Pack
fake
up."
news. It was fake
Pack
news.
it up.
It's fake news. It was a clickbait title just to get people like you talking.
Hey, talking about AI, weren't we supposed to be good-looking women this week?
Next week for sure.
The women are back.
Heard that last week.
The women are back. Hey, you made me into a K-pop guy this week, and that was good. I
That
liked
is
it.
true.
What would it take then? Okay, just on this, because like if North Korea has been maintaining the rage for like 70 odd years now, since 1953 or whatever. No more. Well, anyway,
Have they? I'm not sure if
like, what would it
maintaining the
take to convince
rage.
them? Because well, I mean,
That's not the
people-
right word.
But for 70 years, the locals of North Korea have been told like it's a nuclear wasteland out there. This is a haven.
Really?
Well, yeah, it's not been like you know.
I thought they just had no physical way to get out. I mean, they have like sports teams and stuff, don't they? Like, they know that they know it's not a.
But you can only maintain that level of like that cult of personality by convincing like generations of generation that this is the best thing that could. There's no better way for you to exist than through this.
Do that? I thought the North Korean people were generally unhappy and they know there's better stuff out there. They just can't do anything about it because they're locked into this little island.
Partly that, but there have been documented cases of people fleeing to the south, and resettling them is not always easy because like they've got to unwind a lot of their like education. But there was, and again, there are cases of remember we talked about this before, American soldiers who, for whatever reason, ended up in North Korea through defection or other reasons, and some of them. Not all of them. I don't think there's not a lot to choose from, but some of them have chosen to stay there.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, my life here is good.
Yeah, because they get shown a great time. Like compared to the North Korean population, will be probably living below the poverty line.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
what I
you've
mean?
seen
Like-
you've seen the aerial shots of like, look down and you can see like South Korea's like this out luminous kind of thing, and then North Korea's like just not. There's
Yeah.
obviously, you know what I mean, but people will believe what they want to believe. I mean, this one Japanese guy fought against the entire world for 60 years. Like, there's a lot of North Koreans out there who are like,
Yeah, probably.
we're gonna see this through until whenever. I don't know what they're seeing it through to, but you know, do you want to go to North. You can't go to North Korea.
No.
Oh, that's not true. Apparently there are like what do you call them? Limited tourist kind of spots you could take. So you pay a lot, but the North Koreans are like, you pay us hard cold cash, and we'll give you a bit of a tour around the bright lights of, well, not the bright lights, but the fun. You know.
Yeah. Check your
Korean
seed
stuff.
phrase at the entrance, and
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
you go.
I don't know.
Cool.
All right. Well, we have been running for a while. Thanks to you. Thanks to team effort, Nick. Made it through. No more hard questions for Nick next week, people.
Yeah. Just ask the same one, and I'll be prepared. Maybe send it early.
Pre-prepared questions.
Yeah, that's right.
So that we don't look silly on air.
Here's a recording I made earlier about this topic.
Now, Nick's school holidays are upon us, which means I believe you won't be here next week.
That's true.
So we'll maybe be back. We'll keep you guys posted. I'll be back. I guess I'll be here. So I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out. We'll figure something out.
Get Rory in.
We'll get Rory in.
Yeah.
Oh, does Rory know that she's gonna have to step in because you're having a holiday?
No, we're going skiing actually.
Mm.
So yeah, should be fun.
Have you seen the ski reports?
We're going to New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and actually it's skiing. It's like negative 15 degrees there. Like that is cold.
It's brisk.
Yeah.
Very brisk.
Anyway, that should be fun. Hopefully, kids' first time skiing. I'll let you know how we go when we get back.
How's your skiing? How's your skiing?
I
leg
mean, I
or-
haven't done it for a while, but yeah, I was okay at skiing.
Can you get some footage and share with us?
Sure. Yeah.
People
Yeah,
would
do
like
that.
to see that. I'd love to see Nick on the skis.
I was a snowboarder mostly, to be honest. But when you got kids, I'm going to be skiing this time because helping like a kid stand up when you're barely able to stand up and your feet are both locked into a board, it's much more difficult. So back to skiing for me. See how we go.
All right.
All right.
Well, enjoy, Nick.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Enjoy. All right. Well, thank you for everybody for stopping by once again. Maybe because the market picked up and more people wanted to come back and check out what was going on.
Yeah.
And then all we did was talk about stablecoins.
That's right. Stable-coins, how people need to exercise to stay happy in North Korea.
Mm-hmm. All right, we
Good
covered all the big topics. All right, well, I will see you next week. Nick, we'll see you the week after. Send us through some videos, and maybe you can just watch the highlights from your holiday. Till then.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Lee and Nick with the moonshot flow. Dispatch live, let the market